Hi, y'all. I'm Allison. The first stop in our Start and Stop Buddy read, the video was so long that I decided to take advantage of a natural break that was in it and split it into two for y'all. So, thank you so much for all of your patience. Y'all have been incredible. Thank you. Thank you. And without any ado at all, let's continue on and make it to the end of our very first stop in the Moonstone Buddy read. I really can't wait to hear what y'all have to say about it. All right, let's just resume from where we left off. Good morning. It's obviously the next day. I took a break to make dinner. It was getting kind of late. By the time I finished eating, cleaning up, relaxing a little bit, I just decided to finish my first stop this morning, which I'm glad I did because I'm feeling much more mentally alert today. I've been operating in a fog for a little while, but I think I've finally come out of it. So let's dive back into the book, read the last 30 pages of our stop, and then I can get this edited and we can start discussing it. I can't wait to see what everybody's thinking about it so far. Okay, now I've got to focus and get back to Betteridge. Was that his name? He is speaking with Mr. Franklin, finding out how Franklin had gotten hold of the diamond to be delivered to Miss Rachel for her birthday. So we have it confirmed. The colonel told Mr. Blank, which is Mr. Franklin's father, that he was in possession of one of the largest diamonds in the world. So I'm assuming he did steal it at the beginning, when they were at that battle. And Colonel obviously definitely has the yellow diamond. So the colonel, he's gonna set up these letters to confirm that he's alive, and if something happens to him, then the diamond is supposed to be disposed of or anything. But he says, and specifically states, if the letter isn't received on the prearranged date, then the colonel's silence might be taken as a sure token of the colonel's death by murder. So he went straight to murder. Not that, he died, but the colonel obviously is in fear for his life just by being in possession of this diamond. I thought that was maybe worth noting that he specifically said murder instead of in the case of my death. So even though Mr. Blake thought that the colonel was just simply off his rocker due to his opium use, he didn't believe for a second that he was actually in possession of a valuable diamond or anything. He agreed to the terms to get his papers so he could prove that he was a duke. I can't say I blame him on that. So apparently the diamond was then just put in a safety deposit box, and these letters were received, and everything went status quo for a while. So I also find it interesting that nobody believed him, or at least Mr. Blake didn't believe him. Didn't even believe him for a second. And which is not that unreasonable considering he was already a druggie by that point, Yeah, so therefore unreliable. But maybe Franklin doesn't agree with his father, writing it all off as just ramblings of somebody who's gone over the edge. So apparently Franklin, growing up over in Germany, may be a little tainted towards the English. We'll see if that actually comes to light or if it was just a passing comment. And he was saying that the English are slovenly, which Betteridge blamed, of course, on the foreign education that he had received. Oh, somehow I missed that Blake was the brother-in-law of the colonel. I completely glossed over that part. Okay, so the diamond was authenticated because of the will and everything. It is, in fact, a phenomenal diamond. I really wish that they had given a modern value of it, because it stated that the estimates given was 20,000 pounds, which I wonder how much that would equate to today. And they failed to do the conversion. So I could use one of the inflation calculators, but it doesn't work really in reverse as well. So we wouldn't get a true indication of how valuable this diamond is. I would assume millions. I don't know. If it's as unique as they say. Oh, okay. So I like this little twist. It turns out that the diamond is actually worth more if it's broken up, at least monetarily, because of that flaw that it has. So the 20,000 pounds, maybe it wasn't worth the millions. Its value is different, as is demonstrated by the fact that the colonel was threatening whoever was, I guess, trailing him for the diamond, that if something happens to him, it's going to be broken up into small pieces, therefore losing whatever special powers it may have when it's intact. Yeah, because breaking it up would actually increase its monetary value. That's not the reason why he's in danger for having it. Oh, and by the way, in case you're reading a version that doesn't have the footnotes, it says that my father was then directed to send the Moonstone secretly to Amsterdam. And Amsterdam was a diamond cutting center. So that's who was going to break it into smaller gems, which would then be perfect cuts. Okay, it's when it's saying, there's another footnote when it says the Oriental races that's used during this period, the Victorian era, to refer to people from India, China, Japan, and Southeast Asia. There it is. If the diamond was broken up, it wouldn't be sacred amongst their religion anymore. So there's the real threat to it. It wasn't necessarily powers, just it's sacred. Yeah, okay. Franklin brings up something. If the colonel was so paranoid to have this gem in his possession, he normally wouldn't talk about it other than relaying instructions to Blake and asking Mr. Blake to put it somewhere safe, and he thought his life was in danger. Why would he will it to his niece? He was estranged from Rachel's mother, his sister. So is he trying to bring all of this misfortune upon his niece and his sister? He is wicked. I could see why Mr. Franklin would assume that's exactly what his intention is. By the way, I'm not finding the book hard to read. The writing itself, I don't find it dense or, flowery or anything like that, of course. But I am having a hard time focusing again. My mind is wandering. I don't know what it is. Why? Maybe it's Jack. Okay, so apparently Mr. Franklin, once he took the diamond out of the bank, was followed. Oh, Finley heard Jack. So he wants Rachel to be gifted the diamond specifically in the presence of her mother. I'm talking about the colonel, of course. The last terms of his will. So, is this like a ha-ha, I told you I had it all along moment? Or is he threatening his niece? Because the diamond was, does he know he was being followed and watched? I don't know. So if the mother was dead or Rachel was dead, then the diamond was to be sent to Holland. So Rachel doesn't inherit it if her mother had died, which means he's not really giving it to Rachel. Right? Did I read that right? Interpret that right? Yeah, I'm with Franklin. I don't know if he's, serving vengeance or if he's vindicating him by delivering the Moonstone to Rachel. Oh, and by the way, I no longer think that Mr. Franklin's not the real Mr. Franklin. Just keeping an eye out because I have no idea what kind of twists and turns we're in for it. I have a feeling we're going to find out pretty soon, though. So when there's a little note when Mr. Franklin says that the question has two sides, an objective side and a subjective side. Yeah, both objective and subjective are capitalized, and that's because that was referring to his German upbringing from German philosophers. So that was an indicator that, again, he's, I guess, putting some distance between himself and the English. I stared. In plain English, I stared hard and said nothing. Betteridge's response to Franklin's philosophical question. That's an interesting point that Betteridge makes. Simple reason that the Colonel left it to Rachel was that Lady Julia would have refused it. She wouldn't have accepted any gift from him. Yeah, see, that's what I wanted to know. The conditional part of Rachel's birthday gift, only if her mother's alive. Oh, so it's not even Rachel's birthday yet. So Mr. Franklin's trying to decide if he should deliver the diamond or not, and better just saying, wait. It's on her birthday. We've got 4 weeks. So see what happens between now and then. Whether he should warn, I guess, Lady Julia or not. I really hope her name is Julia. If not, that's what it is now. Because that's stuck. I think I remember that's what it was when they were first introduced. Oh, so he's got the diamond on him. Yeah, I don't even understand why he took it out of the Bank of London. It's not time to give it to her yet. It cracks me up how his talking about how his daughter got in his way. He goes, the way our late mother used to get in my way on the stairs. I don't know why, but that just cracks me up. I think because it was so unexpected from the tone that I thought this book was going to be. I love his. I don't know. There's just something about Betteridge that I just find endearing. So he obviously couldn't tell Penelope what he really discussed with Mr. Franklin. So he said that they talked of foreign politics until they could talk no longer. And then fallen asleep in the sun. So try that sort of answer when your wife or daughter next worries you with an awkward question at an awkward time. And depend on the natural sweetness of women for kissing and making it up again at the next opportunity. I don't know why, I just love that. So I am curious about what's going on with Rosanna. Penelope was just talking with her father, Betteridge, about Penelope's reaction to Mr. Franklin Blake. And Penelope thinks that Rosanna had fallen in love at first sight. So I wonder if there's actually some history between the two. Although I don't see how there would be, because Franklin had been in Germany and Rosanna was in London. So I doubt their paths would cross. Maybe she did just, react to him physically. And I like that Penelope called out her dad for laughing at the thought of Rosanna being capable of falling in love at first sight. So that was good. And at least Betteridge showed some shame for that. So apparently the Indians had come back and were sneaking around the property at night, probably trying to find the diamond. Betteridge was talking about how he and Samuel tried to find whoever it was out on the grounds, but they failed. They didn't see anybody. They were long gone. I wonder. It also seems that Rachel and Mr. Franklin have a little bit of a flirtation maybe going on. And I suspect that a lot of people get upset by that now because they are cousins. But back in Queen Victoria's days or over here at the Civil War era, cousins marrying was quite common. It wasn't viewed as incest like it is nowadays. Nowadays, you're like, ew, my cousin, that is disgusting. But that was very much the societal norm. So it's not necessarily anything to be up in arms over. While we may not agree with it personally now, then it was no big deal. But it may have led to some, genetic failings as the generations proceeded on, which I think is why it eventually became taboo, because it was messing with the genetics. I like how Better just going on about, the naturalist going out and studying insects and specimens and everything. And he says you dabbled in mud pies and you dabbled in nasty mud and made pies when you were a child, and you dabble in nasty science and dissect spiders and spoil flowers when you grow up. I don't know why. It just cracked me up. He's kind of taking a jab at the upper class, because they've got nothing to do with their time. That they're not using their time to earn a living and keep a roof over their head, provide for themselves. So he says they have to come up with these silly little habits and hobbies that just create more work for everybody else. And he thinks that his lot has the better outlook on life. So he cracks me up. There's just something about him. I want to spend an afternoon with him. Mr. Franklin and Miss Rachel, they tortured nothing, is glad to say. Confines themselves to making a mess. And all they spoiled, to do them justice, was the paneling of a door. So, decorative painting was very big then, too. You want to see? Jack just knocked something off of my desk. That's what you heard. So, yeah. I've got to stay on focus. I've got to stay focused or I'm never going to finish this book. It's taking me, I don't know, I'm already another hour into this and I've only read 30 pages. It's ridiculous. I'm not exaggerating when I say I'm probably going to have 5 hours of video to edit for 80 pages. Yeah, and Jack just knocked something else down. It's just crazy around here. Okay, Jack was just hauled off. My desk will maintain its original mess and not get any worse, and I can hopefully finish this stop. So apparently Rachel has, she tends to keep her own counsel and she's a little independent. And even though the household is speculating that there might be a match in an upcoming wedding between Mr. Franklin and Miss Rachel, Betteridge's, he's not bet any money on that because he knows Rachel has her own mind. And I guess she's a little partial to somebody from town already. And she's not going to be pushed or persuaded into a relationship that she doesn't want. So good for her. Yes, another one of her cousins, Mr. Godfrey Ablewhite. So maternal societies for confining poor women. He's talking about Godfrey Ablewhite's description and everything. Those are actually there to aid women at the time of confinement. That is when they're about to give birth. And Magdalene societies for rescuing poor women. Those would be women working the streets. So I guess he works with all of these charities. So when Betteridge was sent to Exeter Hall, I'm probably mispronouncing that, to hear Mr. Godfrey, that's a large meeting hall on the Strand, well, no, London Street, used by religious and philanthropic associations. I really like Colin's writing. He's comparing the two, the philanthropic meeting to the show that Betteridge went to see with the girl who was dancing, the dancing woman. So the lady did it with a band of music. The gentleman did it with a handkerchief and a glass of water. Crowds the performance with the legs, did it the performance with the tongues. So I love that back and forth. Apparently Mr. Franklin's not going to be able to measure up to Mr. Godfrey. So Rosanna, she swapped out the rose that Rachel gave to Franklin for one from herself. And she's being a little short with Miss Rachel. She definitely, it seems like she's getting a little obsessed with Franklin, so I wonder what's going to happen there. And this is also supposed to be like a romance too. Romance is supposed to be a big part of this book, so it looks like we might have some love triangles forming. I don't know, we will see. That's some foreshadowing. He regrets convincing Lady Julia to keep Rosanna at the house instead of sending her off to the farm. So something's going to happen with Rosanna for sure. I don't know what. So, between Franklin and Godfrey, from what we know of them, I'm betting Godfrey is just like a smooth-talking used car salesman. That's the impression I'm getting of him. I'm curious to see if that's how he's going to play out. But Franklin seems to have a little bit more substance to him from the little bit that we've seen of Godfrey. But the fact that, they were painting the door together and, such a wholesome, sweet activity, that kind of won me over to Franklin. So we will see. It's not fair. I haven't met Godfrey yet, but I'm curious to see if anybody else is already getting a little bit of a sleazy vibe from Godfrey. Is he a little bit too good to be true? We'll find out. I have a feeling pretty soon. I love how he compares the speech that he's given for Rachel's birthday to the one that the Queen gives yearly to open Parliament. It's adorable, and there's something just so endearing about him. Okay, I took a little break to film the cats. I'll have that at the end for you. So if everything's changed, that is why. Only a few more pages left. Let's get back to it. Okay, so we're finally up to the point of Rachel's birthday, and we'll find out if she's going to be given the diamond or not. I am a little surprised that they didn't warn Lady Julia that Rachel's going to receive this inheritance from the Colonel. It seems kind of wrong now. Back when he first got the diamond, it seems understandable that nothing would be said. But now that almost a whole month has gone by, shouldn't they have warned her? I don't know. Seems like that would be the courteous thing to do in the least, but I think we'll get more drama this way. Got distracted by the cats. I think, did Godfrey show up? Oh, okay, so Franklin, when he went to get the diamond, he picked up Godfrey as well. So, Rachel just got the diamond. Everybody's excited about it, except for Lady Julia. She is none too pleased. But of course, she can't let that be known. So she's going to have words for it, Betteridge, later. Even Betteridge was wowed when he saw the diamond. I can't wait to see what Lady Julia is going to have to say. Okay, so there wasn't much of a reaction. That was kind of disappointing. Maybe we'll get more from her later, but she's thinking the Colonel did it for nefarious reasons. She doesn't think it was done out of any sign of goodwill. And they kept from her the fact that the jugglers are lurking about the grounds looking for it, probably. Again, I don't know if that's the right move, although it does seem in keeping. He wouldn't bother her with things, especially he wouldn't want to alarm her, and he wouldn't bring every little speculation to her. Although this one, might be a little bit more serious. So I don't necessarily fault him for not telling her about it. So Rachel refused Godfrey. Yeah, Penelope is not taken in by Godfrey. She thinks he's a little too smooth as well, I think. She hasn't come forth and said that, but definitely the impression. Like how he's not arguing with his daughter because she's fixing his cravat and brushing his hair, and she's a little passionate, so he doesn't want to be strangled or have the last of his hair being ripped out, which just cracks me up. He knows when to keep his opinions to himself. I'm surprised to see that she's openly wearing the Moonstone. I wouldn't have guessed that she would do that, but she doesn't know any of its history or anything else. And of course, she's more like, yeah, look what I got. So I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. I guess because we know it's been tucked away in a safety deposit box for years, and now she's just wearing it openly for anybody to see. So the doctor wants to melt the stone away, the diamond, so she won't have to be worried with safekeeping it. Yeah, and it looks like her mother, Lady Julia, wishes that she could make the diamond disappear, but there's no way Rachel's going to do that. Charlie thinks he's out of his mind even suggesting it. And the guest, who's from India, just warned Rachel never to wear that diamond in India, that it would cost her her life within 5 minutes. Well, she just romanticized it for her. Okay, so apparently we've got some awkward dinner conversations going for Miss Rachel's party. Okay, I just reached the magical paragraph, and I am really enjoying it. There's a lot more humor than I was expecting. The tone is much lighter than I expected from the very beginning. This was the preface, when it was laying everything out with that siege and the history of the diamond. But yeah, this is my type of humor. It definitely differs from our detective stories so far, because we haven't even had the crime yet, and we're already on page 83. So there's not really much to speculate about yet, other than the people themselves. And I think they're all going to be quite colorful characters. From what I saw, each different character that we're going to hear from is going to be quite distinctive from each other. Oh, and I do have to say, I find it absolutely hilarious that he calls Abel White's sisters the bouncers, because they're so excited and everything's and they just can't contain themselves. So the fact that he refers to him as bouncers just cracks me up. So he's definitely not a stuffy Victorian. He's got I would say, a mischievous side, which we know from his scandalous love life. But I really want to know what y'all think. And if you got a completely different vibe from it, feel free to disagree with me. It can lead to really good discussions down in the comments. And I would love to hear what you think about it so far. How are you enjoying this classic, the forerunner of the modern detective story? So, all right, I'm sure this has gone on long enough. I did look at my phone because it filled up. I have like over 5 hours of video to edit down. So I've got a very busy afternoon. We do need our next stopping point though. So don't forget, if you have proceeded farther into the book already, only comment up to page 83 during this video, and we'll discuss what happens later in future ones. So next time we're going 40% into the book, which is towards the end of chapter 22. So my copy, that'll put us on page 197. And you're going to stop when you see, in the second place, proceeded the sergeant. You will hear of the 3 Indians again. So that is where we will continue on in the second video. If you're coming to this later and it's already available, if there's a link right here, then I challenge you to wait at least 24 hours before picking your book back up. Maybe some new little insights will occur to you, and it'll help heighten the the anticipation of what's to come, because we are leaving in the middle of Rachel's birthday party. All right, I've got my work cut out for me if I'm going to have this video ready for y'all anytime soon. So I better go. Can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I will see you day after tomorrow if all goes well.